I want to talk a little bit about a case that's been reported in the Manchester Evening News, which I think raises several issues. So basically, this is about a soldier, Cameron Bailey, who's 22. He engaged in a vicious attack at a party, leaving a young man with a serious head injury. This was over a dispute involving a girl, apparently. And basically, he has been given an £800 fine and given a suspended sentence. Now, this was a violent attack. In my view, he should have got a custodial sentence. I'm going to put a link to this article, but there's a few things about this I find problematic, and it reminds me of the Lavinia Woodward case. That's lawyer or trainee lawyer who escaped a custodial sentence. In fact, frankly, escaped any significant sentence after stabbing her boyfriend on the grounds. No, my mistake. Not she wasn't a lawyer. She was a trainee surgeon. That was it. And she escaped a custodial sentence on the grounds that the idiot judge thought that it would be a pity to send her to jail when her services could be of use to the industry. Um, and this just strikes me as being similar. Basically, this guy has escaped a custodial sentence because of his profession. That's wrong. Um, and the reports states that he apparently had a role as a warrior driver. This is a warrior tank that's used in the British Army, and that is the rationale for. And he could have very well been brought on deployment. This is the rationale, or one of the rationales for him not getting a custodial sentence. Um, Manchester Crown Court was told Cameron Bailey is a warrior driver and as a result is very likely to be deployed with the armed forces. Senior officers appeared in court alongside his mother and father after he admitted assault and Section 20 wounding. Bailey's pal Harry Bird, also an infantryman in the army from Stockport, admitted assault. Prosecutor Rob Hall told the court the incident occurred on April the 7th last year. Bailey and Bird were home on leave from the base in Wiltshire when they attended the house party of a 17-year-old girl in Eccles, Salford, while their parents were away on holiday. Bailey had hoped to rekindle a romantic involvement with a girl who was in attendance, but was disappointed to find she had a boyfriend. And apparently an argument broke out, and the girl who held this party shut it down at 1:30 in the morning, or rather 1:15 in the morning. I'll put a link to all of this, so I'm not reading it paragraph by paragraph, but basically, after this argument, and he was told to leave by the girl hosting the party, he and his friend waited outside, and they basically ambushed this young man and left him with a serious head injury, attacking him with a bottle. I mean, that could be a very serious weapon. The victim was taken to hospital where he required 4 stitches to the head. Um, And then Bailey, not content with having assaulted this guy, he then posted a video on Snapchat bragging of having bottled the victim. This is a thug. Cameron Bailey is a thug. And in my view, is this really someone that we want to be defending the country? Someone who has no self control? So the rationale that, let me just read this out. Yeah, Daniel Lister, defending Bailey, told the court the attack was an isolated incident born out of drunken stupidity. He told Judge Elizabeth Nichols presiding that an immediate custodial sentence would lead to his client being immediately discharged from the army. And, you know, damn right he should be discharged from the army. Regardless of the sentence Your Honour imposes, he will face disciplinary proceedings, Mr. Lister said. And apparently his grandfather had died that week. But I have a problem with that being used as mitigating circumstances. People die all the time. Having a family tragedy doesn't excuse drunk, thuggish behaviour. Um, and this is the rationale. His mother, Mrs. Bailey, therefore feared losing 2 members of the family in a week. Well, wouldn't be losing him. He'd be going to jail through his own stupidity. You know, Judge Nichols said she heard significant mitigation and could therefore suspend the 8-month jail sentence. she imposed on Bailey for 14 months. He must also pay the young man he attacked £800 in compensation. Okay, it's a fair bit of money, but this was a vicious attack. So there's a few things I want to say about this. I'll put the link to the article. Number one, I hope the army disciplines this guy. Military police. I hope he gets some sort of court martial or something. He's brought the army into disrepute with his thuggish behaviour. Um, in my opinion, if he's going to do this, because he can't control himself after an argument, how would he respond to an altercation with civilians in a war zone or in a dispute with other soldiers? This is clearly someone who has no self control. And I really have a problem with alcohol being used as an excuse for that sort of thuggery. But I have a problem too with his profession being used as a cover. If this was a Joe Average, he'd probably be looking at time, and rightly so. To me, this stinks of two things. Number one, weak judges. I consider Judge Nichols another example of a weak judge. She should have imposed a custodial sentence. Having difficult family background, i.e., the fact his grandfather's died, that's sad, but it absolutely is not an excuse for his behavior. This guy is not a child. He's 22 years old. He has responsibility for his own actions. So it really, what about the victim? Once again, this is an idiot judge putting the offender before the victim. It absolutely pisses me off. And someone's profession, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're good at your profession. I don't care if you've done heroic things in your profession. If you break the law, if you behave like a thug, you should be held to account. Even if this guy had done a tour of duty, I would say he has still attacked someone in a vicious way. Everyone is responsible for their actions. And I hope the army does discipline him. I mean, my goodness, if this guy's meant to be in charge of a warrior tank, um, that the mitigation was that this was a specialist job. Well, if he's stupid enough to boast of his thuggery on Snapchat, what does that say? What about his victim? Okay, he's going to get £800, but if he's got a serious head injury, he could get flashbacks. He could get all sorts of problems from this. So I don't think it should be purely financial. I think violent assault should result in custodial sentencing. Because this sends out the message, if you're a soldier, you're above the law. And the Lavinia Woodward case sent out the message, if you're a trainee surgeon with, you're very smart, you're a Cambridge, Oxford graduate, oh, well, you're above the law. There should not be a situation that people are above the law or above justice because of what job they do. I mean, that defense, okay, that's his job. He's a defense counsel. That's what he has to do. But it's pretty phony. I mean, there's a risk the army could kick him out. Good. He should be kicked out. Let me know your thoughts. I'll put a link to this article.